What are your craft days? The weekends, afternoons, nights? Whatever your time, I hope you get to create lots. If you didn't see the first sheet sharing the past of the Victorian Ladies series, go check that video out and you'll be able to get this sheet here, which is sheet 1 of these lovely ladies and these little flowers that you can fussy cut out here. But in today's video, I've got a new sheet and this is fussy cut 2. And what we've got here are two ladies, very handsome gentlemen and some more vintage flowers. Now these are for fussy cutting. What I've done is I've fussy cut them with this little tiny white border around the edge. They're a little bit tricksy because of all these like tiny, like the umbrella and his, oh, what is this? It's just like a stick. And she's got a whip in her hand and I just cut the end of the whip off because it was just way too fiddly. These here are at full size. That's printed at 100%. And this one here I printed out at 90%. So it's just a little bit smaller, and you can see here by the border on here that it's, you know, like if you compare the two, there's not a lot in the ladies, but if you put your finger there and there, you'll see that there's, you know, a little bit of difference. And that 10% can make a lot of difference when you're putting it on a tag or something. Now, speaking of tags, I've added this sheet here, sheet 3, and it's got 2 tags on it with some newsprint on them. These are 6 inches high. You can cut them down smaller. What I do is I've got these clear acrylic tags in my shop and I use these a lot. What I do is I pick a tag, whatever size I'm working on and whatever I want to do, and I put that tag on whatever background I'm cutting out. It doesn't have to be these. I can put that on there and go, well, okay, that one's too small. So I pick another size and I go, yep, okay, she'll fit on there. And if I look at it at the 100%, I go, yeah, she'll also just fit on there, but I've got to put a hole in her head, so I may need to cut off some of her skirt. That's why I've printed this one out at 90%. So you're not stuck on printing any PDF printable out at 100%. You can always reduce the size and make it fit whatever you're making. What I can do for the flower is I don't have to use any of these. I can just cut out my flower. So if I want to use that there, I can see before I even start what things are going to look like. So if I put that flower on this background, which looks pretty, I can work out how I want this to be. So if I want my flower hanging off the bottom of my tag, and I can trace around my template, cut this piece out, glue this flower on my tag, and that makes a beautiful tag that I can put in my journal, and it looks so gorgeous. The next one I'm going to do is using this little fella. I was inspired by this tag here. I found this in my mum's stash. This was not made by my mum. It was a swap tag. So mum would have received this from one of her friends. Her name is on the back, but I won't share her name. What I've done is I've gone through all the inks and I've figured out what I think is the ink colour that she's used. I thought it was peel paint at first, but I've worked out that I think it's crushed olive. When you see something you're inspired by, don't be locked in. Use whatever you've got. So I'm going to use that for the background, and for the word love, I've just got this. Here you go, can you see that? I love you this much stamp. So I've just blocked out all the other parts and I'm just going to use the word love. Now I've just used sticky notes to block out all that stuff, and I'm just using black ink. So I need a piece of white cardstock. Now for the background, I haven't got exactly the same stencil, so I've just found this one here. It's got some circles on it. This one here is also got some circles on it. I'll stick with the circles because they fit on the whole height. And I'm just using my makeup brush to put a light coat first. Now I'm going to add this one here. Carefully lift it off. That's all right. Now I'll just add love down in the corner. Make sure that this is all stuck down good. Ink that up. Now is when you just take off your masking tape. I'm just going to sit that around about there. I'm going to round the corners. This is the worst corner rounder ever. It's a 𝗍ici's, I think. Any tips of a decent corner rounder, let me know. I'm also going to use the crushed olive to put some colour around the edge. Now for the splatters, like is on this one, you can either use a splatter brush or you can use something like this. So I'm going to use a small brush in the black soot. It's allowing me to just get these single little tiny dots and put them wherever I want. Now that's looking pretty good. I'm just going to glue him on there. He's looking much better on this background than he would if I put him on a plain background. Now for the ribbon, I had a fun time searching for a ribbon, but this one here I think might fit the bill. Just a brown. I'm just going to cut it in the middle so that it's not bulky. It doesn't need to be folded. When you fold it, you haven't got as much control over it where you put it, whereas if you cut it, you can put it however you like and it can just sit here like that. I'm just going to hold it down with a piece of washi just so it doesn't go anywhere. Use 200 or 250 GSM for your cardstock. Because I'm putting a backing on it, I wasn't so worried about how heavy it was. I glued and trimmed the back piece on to cover the ribbon and to make this tag a little bit stronger. Now I'm just going to make one using the newsprint tag and one of these ladies, or both. Might make one off camera and just quickly show you one. When you cut your tags out, you'll notice there's a black line around the edge. I like to cut them off. So when you cut these out, cut that black line off. I think they look a lot cleaner without them. And I've used a 250 GSM cardstock to print these tags on. And distress the edge. I'm using my vintage hole reinforcers on these tags. I fold them in half and then put glue on the insides of both sides, eyeball the centre of my tag, and then once they're in the centre, I've only got to punch the hole. You can put something entirely different on these newsprint. You don't have to use these ladies at all. This is what this is all about. Printables they're made for mix and match. This is just a background. You can put on this whatever you like. I've put some glue on the back of this lady and I'll glue her on here. I've added some scrap trim and lace pieces and push them through the hole, and I'm gonna staple them at the top here. I like to flatten my staples with pliers. And now she's ready to go into storage until I'm ready to use her. Now for this one, I stenciled all over the top of the whole tag, then cut out a smaller tag and glued it on top. I've tied a short black ribbon on the top and glued one of these white roses on to keep it simple. Because the newsprint is so small, it's given it a decorative edge, so that'll do me. I've just put a sticker on the bottom. It's a Tim Holtz sticker, Not only does my mind wander, sometimes it walks off completely. I'm back to this one here. It needed finishing off, so I folded a piece of sari silk trim, and instead of tying it, I've just glued it together at the top here to reduce the bulk. It looks really pretty hanging out the side of a pocket, or you can paper clip it to a page. They always look so cool. I'm running out of places to put things in this journal. It's pretty full. But who says you have to put things the right way up? Look at that. This looks good upside down, and that's just an envelope. As long as you embellish your journal, it doesn't matter how you put them in. Upside down, sideways, back to front, anything goes in your junk journal. If you want to see my ideas using this Victoria lady here on video and print sheet 1, it's right over here.
Can I tell you what's been on my mind? Sick and tired of the night.